I want to see Capcom make some changes. And I want to see Capcom make some changes in how it uses the modern controls. I want Capcom to go all in with modern controls. The current setup, the way Capcom has it, it's like they're sitting on the fence. They see the greener grass on the other side, but they won't commit to hopping over because probably they're fearful of how the community will react. And I get that. Regular input, the classic controls are a staple of Street Fighter, and they haven't gone anywhere. But it's time to make room for another way to make inputs, just inputs, into Street Fighter. And Capcom's already moving in this direction. They just need to go all the way. So, in case you don't know, modern controls is basically a way to make inputs easier to execute. So, typically, Street Fighter has light, medium, heavy punches and kicks, but modern controls condenses all of those things into one light button, one medium button, and one heavy button. And then there's certain moves you can execute automatically based on much simpler inputs instead of like quarter circle forward for a fireball, whatever button, punch, whatever punch button. Instead, you would do something like neutral special, and then it would automatically fire off a medium fireball, something like that. That's an example. So the problem with modern controls, though, is that they don't have the flexibility to compete at higher levels because of the limitation and the limited amount of moves that you have. You have a good suite of moves. It's not like you can't do anything. So you can catch people who are slipping off guard. But once you start getting to competing with people who really know what they're doing, you start to see the limitations, and the people at the higher level also know those limitations, and so you don't have much room to fight with, and so you're forced to basically learn classic controls if you want to get to a higher level. And I would say Capcom needs to just allow it all the way. Let modern controls have the full suite of everything a classic player could do. That's the way this should go. Now, you might say that's not what Street Fighter is. And I would get that, but that's not a defense anymore because Capcom has already dipped their toe into this. They have already halfway submerged their body into this pool of modern controls. So they just haven't done it all the way. The thing is, no one loses with this. The the modern control player can focus on what really matters in a match. Decision making. What kind of decision are you going to make in the neutral game? You're doing footsies with somebody. You got to make decisions. Here, I will play some footage of myself. I'll just fast forward it a little bit there. And you could see I am using modern controls. Another person is using classic controls. And as you watch, you will see decisions are being made. I get punished. Sometimes he gets punished. It's not based off of the input that I'm using, it's based off the decisions. That's what I want to enjoy. I have a family. I have a full time job. I have other responsibilities related to gaming trend. I love Street Fighter. I don't want to have to try to, again, put the muscle memory of the inputs into my hands again. I ain't got time for all that. I want to get to the fighting and I want to get to the juicy parts. I want to get to the decision making. If I lose, I lose. I'm fine with that. But if I make a good decision, I want to be able to just make that good decision without having to fumble with inputs. Now, when it comes to something like esports, no, at the end of the day, that should stay classic. It's like basketball and ball handling, right? The best NBA players can handle the ball very well. They have full control of it. There should be some of that in the fighting game community, particularly with Street Fighter. There is something beautiful about that. There is something awesome about that. But we're talking about people who are just buying the game and playing the game, even if they're going on ranked. You shouldn't be punished for being able to move up on rank. I mean, the only way you would know somebody else using what kind of control scheme is based on what's above the bar, which I didn't even realize that was happening until like halfway into the beta. I was like, oh, you could actually see what control input they're using, which if that wasn't there and you had the full suite of abilities with a modern control, you would never know. And so, what does it boil down to at that point? Decision making. It's like Capcom is saying, like, we do want you to learn the classic controls, but like, here's something in case. No, give it all to me. And then you might, okay, what about all those people who learned classic controls? You might ask that question. That's a fair question. Nothing happens to them because they've learned the classic controls. You think the people who play at the highest level, or the people who have at least mastered the inputs, who can hit it every single time, no matter what circumstance, they don't hesitate. If they see a jump go in, they know how to put the dragon punch motion. You think those people are losing matches because they didn't hit an input? No, they're losing matches because of decision making. That's the only reason why they've lost, because they didn't have a good neutral game, because they whiffed a move. It's not because they didn't input it correctly. And so, if you don't have to deal with that as somebody who understands the decision making aspect, but maybe you don't have the input stuff quite right, well, hey, you ain't got to deal with that anymore with a proper modern control scheme. Again, this is pretty good. You could pull off some stuff, but at the end of the day, it's just not enough. And I would say Capcom needs to just go all the way. Let there be a full system that makes all the inputs easy. And so you can focus on timing, you can focus on decision making, you can focus on the neutral game, you can focus on all that stuff that happens in the middle of a fight outside of the inputs. That would be absolutely fantastic. So, with that said, what do you think? Do you like the modern controls? Have you messed with the modern controls? Do you prefer the classic? Do you prefer modern to go all the way? Would you like it to be less? Would you like it to just disappear entirely? Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to know what you think. Of course, you know this YouTube. You can do it in the comments, all that stuff. Tap whatever thumb you prefer. You could sub, hit the bell icon, things like that. Hopefully, there will be more Street Fighter 6 talk in the future. Should an interesting topic show up. But at the end of the day, be nice. I know this could be a contentious topic. You want to feel good about the thing that you've put a lot of work into. And again, I want to mention this isn't about taking away classic. I would say, no, that would be foolish of Capcom to do that. That would be absolutely stupid. However, options are good. And for people like myself, and for people who maybe don't have the time, but they love playing the game and they love that competition, I think it would be good to have something that's fuller and more workable than the half version of these simpler controls that are available right now. Let me know what you think. My name is Anthony Shelton. I'll talk to you later.